And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Judith E.B. Roberts. Judith serves as the Senior Director for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion within the ELCA Churchwide Office. The Senior Directory for DEI is responsible for articulating and championing a comprehensive approach and vision for diversity, equity, inclusion within the ELCA. Judith is the former ELCA Director for Racial Justice and the co-convener for the National Council of Churches Joint Action and Advocacy Working Group, and a task force member of the National Council of Churches Truth and Racial Justice Task Force. Judith is an alum of Springfield College in Springfield, Massachusetts, and a graduate of the University of Mississippi. She was raised in the Lutheran faith and worships at Our Savior's Lutheran Church in Naperville, Illinois. In her free time, Judith enjoys spending time with family and friends, visiting museums, cooking, and thank goodness for your work, you enjoy traveling. Please help me welcome Judith to the South Carolina.
Well, Bishop, thank you for reading my bio. I really appreciate that. And for folks who don't know about Springfield College, if you are a basketball fan, it is the birthplace of the sport. I just want y'all to know that that is my alma mater. Neil, can we bring up my slides, please? So before I speak, I always acknowledge the shoulders on which I stand. And you see a photo of my maternal grandfather, C.C. Bryant, and he served as the local NAACP chapter president from 1954 to 1984. 30 years of his life he gave in commitment to racial justice and racial reconciliation. And so I say that in the context of this. Bishop and I had a little conversation over lunch today, and I was sharing yesterday as we were watching our performers, Bishop talked about the Ku Klux Klan, right, and lynching. And so for me, it was a triggering moment because I understand the price that was paid as a person of color, person of African descent, and to understand the impact it had on my grandfather to have the Klan to bomb his business and to bomb his church to the ground. And the last thing I'll say about my grandfather in this moment, at 87 years of age, he gave his last interview to a national network, and I was replaying it recently. And one of the touch points in his educational journey as a young person was his class on theology in Martin Luther. And he said that shaped his courage to not be fearful and to call a thing, right? And to speak truth to power. So thank you for just letting me bring that into the context when we think about time and story and engagement and seeing Jesus, right? That for me, I see Jesus in the leaders, the people on the shoulders on which we stand. Amen? So Bishop already gave you my background. I don't know if I mentioned that I'm the mother of a young adult who was raised at Christ the King. One of the connections I have with my congregation in Naperville, Illinois, is there is an African Methodist congregation not far from my church. And so I try to live out my call in my own walk. I know that there was a comment about church professionals, perhaps, and how we spend our time and how we're connected to this work. And so for me, I made it a commitment when I moved into this community that I would intentionally join an AME church. I have an associate membership of an African Methodist Episcopal church, and the pastor at that congregation knows the pastor at Our Savior's, and the two of them are on their own journey to build this thing called racial reconciliation. I just get to be the bridge in that, but I stand on what our church has already said and is committed to. So I'm just happy to bring that forward. And so, I'm one of 433 staff members who serve on behalf of our denomination at the ELCA churchwide expression of our denomination, our communion. And it's because of our giving, right? When I give in my local congregation, when I give out of my paycheck, before I even see my paycheck, I give something back to my church, to my denomination, and I give to my local congregation, just like you do. And as soon as you give to your local congregation, that money goes to our synods to help support our local ministries. And the synod makes a commitment to continue to help the work that happens at the churchwide office. We're 65 synods. We're a big church. We're 3.3 million members that make up the ELCA. We're not a small church. And we have a global network of companions and partners that we work with. And so when we give and we're able to support our wider mission, we're a generous church. Over $38 million was raised in 2022. And I want to say thank you on behalf of my 433 colleagues that helped to move our mission work forward, that this Synod contributed over $900,000, $911,774 to be exact, because the treasurer checked my numbers and told me I was off by $1. So I don't want to miss one penny. I don't want to miss a penny. But can I just say thank you on behalf of those who can't be here? Thank you so much for making this happen. Because we're a strong church and we're a generous church, and I don't take that lightly. And that money, just to give one more piece about what happens, the money comes into churchwide and then it turns right back around and we send it back in partnership with our synods and our congregations through grant support. So you'll hear a little bit about how we do that work together. The next big exciting news that I want to lift up is the Commission for a Renewed Lutheran Church. So pop quiz, when was the ELCA constituted? What year? 1988. So that makes us how old? 35 years of age. Now maybe some of us who are over 30 something, this is a chance for us to reflect and reset our church, right? And so a Commission for a Renewed Lutheran Church has been established. We have two amazing leaders from this synod. Out of the hundreds of applicants who submitted their names and were willing to serve, we have we have Deacon Dallas Sheely, and we have, Deacon, there you are. Hey, Deacon, how are you? And we have another good friend of mine, Dr. Susan McCarver, who's also agreed to serve from LSS. So I just say thank you to your synod that we have some amazing leaders that will help drive our church as we envision our next journey together with a commitment towards becoming a much more inclusive church. And just one more quick plug for folks who may not know all the history of our predecessor bodies, the three Lutheran bodies that constituted the ELCA. The vision, those vision keepers, wanted to see this church become multicultural and committed to anti-racism. And for folks who do not know the percentage, well, actually, I'm going to ask you, what percentage of leaders of color, people of color, do you think happen to make up this denomination? 1%? 2%? I see 3%. Okay, 8%? Okay. So here's 1,000%. I love you. Gold star over there. I love the vision. I love the vision to build the kingdom of God, right? So our numbers right now, from what I can share with you from our reporting, we are about 6.4% representation of people of color within our denomination. However, at the Constituting Convention, our goal was to reach 10% people of color within our first 10 years. And here we are 35 years later, and we're at 6.4%. So for us to take this serious step back and to amplify white diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism, racial reconciliation, all the other ministries that we are committed to towards justice, that bend towards justice, this is our chance to reset that. So I'm excited about this work that's going to happen on behalf of our leaders that have been commissioned to do this. We are also a church that's committed to growth. We have 311 active New Start ministries. We have 50% of those New Starts are in economically challenged communities. 50% are New Starts are in communities of color, and 33% of those New Starts are in small and rural communities. So here's a quick map of what we look like with our 311 active communities all across the United States, as well as in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. And we have leaders who represent our ministries among diverse cultures. And just to give them a shout out, we have the Arab and Middle Eastern desk, we have African descent ministries, our African national communities, our indigenous ministries and tribal relations, our Asian Pacific Islander, and our Latino ministries that are helping drive our church. Now see, I'm going to be in trouble because I'm going to need my glasses, I think. So right here in South Carolina, we have New Starts and synodically authorized worshiping communities. And we have Christ Community Lutheran of North Charleston. Oh, they're here? Oh, yeah, yes, clap if you're here, please do. Crystal Ray in Gadsden, Crystal Ray Pelion, Crystal Ray Lutheran Church in West Columbia, Nuestro Salvador, Peroquia. Oh, are they here too? Okay, Peroquia, El Messias, the Restoration Gospel of Greenwood. I know they're here for sure. And Saraguda Familia and the Journey Performing Arts Ministry. So if all those ministries are here, I see it. Wave those hands. Can we just give a round of applause to all of our stocks? Yes. Thank you. And then we have some strategic partner ministries I definitely have to lift up as well, which is Christ Mission and Trinity Lutheran Church. So these are yes, please, if you're here. And I know we have several chaplains in the room. If you're a chaplain, would you just raise your hand, please? Actually, would you stand if you happen to be a chaplain here in our synod? Thank you so much. Or retired chaplain, can we just see all of you? We have amazing chaplains that bring the church outside of our four walls. And we thank you for your service, and especially our 160 federal chaplains. And right here in South Carolina, you have Gregory Brown, Roy Butler, Christopher Gerardu, Timothy Canoes, Jeffrey Shealy, Stanley Witten, and Edward Woodward, who are all our military chaplains. And can we just thank them for their service in serving our military personnel? Thank you. And we've already heard about the great work of the Lutheran disaster response here in the Carolinas. And within this synod, $347,645 was raised to support the LDR efforts around the world that we do. So thank you to our new leaders that are going to take on that mission. So our work doesn't just stop here in the United States and stop here within our own communities. We think about the Lutheran disaster response work that happens beyond our borders, right? So we think about the humanitarian crisis that's happening with our siblings in the Ukraine. And we have leaders on the ground who are able to receive and support them. This is a pastor who is in Hungary, who is working with many of the refugees that are coming out of Ukraine. We also have our ELCA World Hunger dollars that we support as well, with over $19 million raised from individuals and synods and congregations. And this synod proudly gave us $235,831 to support our ELCA World Hunger work that we do together. So thank you again for that. And just to give a quick example of what that looks like on the ground, this is a picture of Marta, who is a leader or a recipient of one of our ELCA World Hunger Global Farm Challenges. And the work that we do with our global partners, such as this one, is we work with small farmers that would help enhance their agricultural activities on the ground. So that's one way we try to support them. And we have Kay Manley, who is out of Light of Grace Lutheran Church in Washington. It's one of our Korean ministries, and is also doing work around eradicating hunger within our community. So another shout out to our Fund for Leaders, our seminarians who are committed to their vocation and their call. We have over 375 students who have been on this journey with the Fund for Leaders for 25 years that we have been doing this. So we've raised over $3 million to support our leaders who are currently in seminary. So this is a wonderful time for our church. And here's one such leader who said that without the Fund for Leaders, I would not have become a pastor that allowed me to do the thing that I thought God was calling me to do, and to something that I love. So amen to these leaders. Another leader said, when we support leaders financially, we launch them into their first call debt-free. And we put the weight of the whole church behind them, and we say, you are called. We are setting people up for success. And who doesn't want to see the elimination of student debt when we're going into our ministry? So right here in our synod, our Fund for Leader recipients, Neil, can you make that larger for me? I can read it, but it'd be squinting with my eyes here. So we have Joe Antley, Ben Bernstein, Kevin Burke, Laura Henriksen, Paula Perry, Emily Whitlow, Patrick Preacher, Zachary Lindler, and Patrick Preacher again, because Patrick also received a grant from the congregation as well. So these are all the different leaders right here that you are making who have been called into this vocation, so thank you. And not only making leaders right here to serve and go into the call of ministry full time, we are also working with our International Leaders Program. We have several different ways that we do that. We are equipping and we provide scholarships for leaders who are part of our global community, and some of them are at our ELCA institutions. We also have an international camp counselor program, which will take place later this summer, where we bring leaders from all over the globe who will serve in our ELCA camps as well. So within our International Women Leaders program, over $6,000 was provided by individuals and congregations to support ongoing education of women in leadership. And right here out of this synod, we have Diane Casente, who is an International Women's Leader Scholar from Kenya, studying at Newberry College right here in South Carolina. So we thank her for being part of this program. And we also have Asi Sinchinki, who is an International Women Leader Scholar from Indonesia, studying at St. Olaf College in Northville, Minnesota. So again, with our work that we do as a global church, our service and justice global engagement, it connects with education. So I shared a little bit of what's happening when we bring leaders internationally here that we're making. It also connects with healthcare. We have doctors that are serving as missionaries around the world. We have educators who are serving around the world. We have local ministers in the parish in their country of call. And we have leaders that work with relationships with our companion synods on the ground, as well as colleagues who serve as regional reps. So in 2022, we had 131 missionary households, including 24 new missionaries, serving in 54 countries around the world, and that was over $1.8 million that our church committed to that. And this synod, you helped provide support for the following people: Hitachi and Satoko Adichie, Jeffrey Truscott, Stephen and Bethany Freiberg, thank you, Braden Berkeley, Stephen and Jody Swanson, Andrew and Sarah Wilson, and Caitlin Larson. So what you see in this photo is one of my colleagues who serves at Churchwide. His name is Chandran Paul Martin, and he's just one of the amazing leaders I get to serve with on a regular basis. And he is serving communities in India. And we also have Reverend Rachel Esking, who was here. She's in the brown jacket, and she was available at the installation of women who were ordained in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Poland. And this is the first to receive women into ordination. And so she was present there in community. So we're just wonderfully grateful for her witness as well. And we also have leaders like Vola, who is working in Japan. And Vola is working at the Hongo Student Center, and she's teaching English as well as Bible class and discussions. So this is just a snapshot of what our missionaries do in their day-to-day call. Now, I also get to connect with our young adults in global mission. Any of you Yagams in this room? Oh my goodness, we have some Yagalos, yes. Yes, I love the Yagams. Actually, I'll be with the next group that will be leaving out of country. I'm with them in August. I'm doing a training with them. So in 2022, we had 24 volunteers that served in 4 different country programs, and this was the first since 2019 with the COVID pandemic. So it was important for us to get our Yagams back out and serving the world. And we thank this Synod for $663,763,000. Thank you so much for your commitment to this. So Sol Namir is one of the Yagams I had a chance to work with. Sol is serving with a family and living in Senegal. And this Synod is supporting Tara Norton. Yes, yes. Some of you know Tara, this is great. So Tara is a young adult that was sponsored by this Synod, one of our amazing leaders. And Tara is Argentina and Uruguay, the country of Synod. So here's some quick announcement and fun news I hope that you're looking forward to. So all of my roster leaders, wave your hand high in the air for me. Yes, woo! Okay, so looks like you have some time to register for the rostered ministers gathering. Now, I did this gathering at the very first experience, and we also did beer and hymns, just letting you know. There was a lot of dancing, it was a lot of fun. I did a workshop, other leaders did a workshop. But if you have not had a chance to register and you're thinking about attending, please consider joining us in Phoenix, Arizona from July 17th through the 20th of this year. We also have the 50th anniversary of the church's decision to ordain women survey report. So pull out your phone if you like to participate and learn more about the ordination of women's survey and what was generated from that. You can certainly scan that QR code if you would like to find out more what our church has shared. It's also available online if you'd like to find it that way. And I'll just leave it up for a moment, one more moment. Dr. Mary Stroyford is the leader that's heading this work for our church. So I'm so proud of the research that she's offering up, because it's a lot of truth-telling that our church needs to hear about the differences in treatment of men, women of color, and the call experience and their experience in ministry. A lot of phones are out. So. It's saying it's disabled? Okay, well, let me see what I can do to fix that, okay? I'll text my colleague and see if I can have that for you by tomorrow morning. That sound good? Okay, very good. Sorry about that. I hope this one works. Cross my fingers. So there's also the candidacy working group, and they need your information. So if you would like to participate with their survey, please consider also checking out their QR code. They have their link here online. So if the QR isn't working, you can certainly participate through the elca.org/formation. But this is important for us to understand as we are reviewing the candidacy process across our 65 synods. It varies, and this is a way for us to start streamlining this work and having some consistency about, oh goodness, oops, sorry. That's my timer. I just need, Bishop, can I take like 2 more minutes? Okay. I'll try to be quick. Please get excited about the youth gathering. If you haven't been to a youth gathering, please consider bringing your youth. We have 3 different events that are linked to the youth gathering that will take place in New Orleans in 2024. What a time to be in New Orleans in the middle of July, but nonetheless, we're going to have ourselves a good time. We have the Multicultural Youth Leadership event called MILE. We have the table, which works with our youth with disabilities, gathering our youth with disabilities, and we have a young adult gathering, which is the first time we're adding this particular experience. So registration will open for that by September 15th. And then we have leaders who are part of the Amparo movement. If you know about Amparo, just raise your hand really quickly. Okay, we got some folks who know about the work that we're doing with, started at the border with our unaccompanied minors, and now we're working with refugees that are coming from the southern borders, and we partner with different organizations around housing and giving care facilities for all of our siblings that are coming from the borders, and we also do advocacy work. So this is a very important accompaniment work that we do on behalf of our church, and we have plenty of resources if you and your congregation would like to get involved in this and go further. So you can find them at the ELCA site, of course. We are on Facebook with them, and we also have an Amparo blog if you just like to learn more about how your congregation may get plugged in with that particular program. And for ongoing leadership development, I think every person needs a mentor, an advocate, and a coach. All of us need that as we continue in journeying in our professional call. And we have ELCA coaches that are available. There are services that you can certainly plug into with coaching, and we have a great network of folks across our church that can provide that work for you. This is a quick plug because I just interviewed the pastor who started this. We have the first Arabic Christian language radio network that is supported by the ELCA, the first one here in the United States. So I'm so excited because I interviewed this pastor, and this is the first that we're offering up, and he's an ELCA leader who is bringing the gospel to our siblings of Arab and Arab-speaking descent. And I just want to acknowledge our amazing leaders that continue to lead. First and foremost, our Director for Evangelical Mission, James Henricks. James, it's great to partner with you as a colleague. We have Reverend Leroy Cannon. Reverend Leroy, there he is, Church Council Leadership. Good to be with you. Mr. Ethan Miller-Perez, Church Council. Where's Ethan? Hi, how are you, Ethan? Good to be with you too. One of our young adult leaders. And we have Deacon Shelley Allen, Discipline Committee. Is Shelley here? Oh, hey, how are you? Hi, how are you, Shelley? And then we have Reverend James Thomas. I don't think I've seen Reverend James Thomas today. No. Not here? Okay, but I know him as well. So last slide, Bishop. Close to last slide. I just want to thank you. I just wrote you a quick note. And it just says, Dear Bishop Jenny, thank you for your continued partnership and leadership on behalf of the ELCA. I value this opportunity to represent the churchwide organization of the ELCA. It has been my pleasure to serve with the South Carolina Synod Assembly of the ELCA for this gathering. In peace, Judith. Thank you so much for letting me. So can I just say this really quickly? I know my time is up because you have to hear the message from the bishop. That's next, right? But I just want to say I have a lot of friends here. I have more friends than I realized. And I just want to say thank you to all of you because I feel like I'm home. I've walked with a lot of leaders and some very deep connections. And so I'm looking at one of them right now, Bishop Herman Young. So I just want to say just thank you again. And so for me to be invited and to start the next journey with you, Bishop Jenny, I'm looking forward to working with you and leading and supporting any way I can. And God's peace to you.
Thank you. God's peace be with you too.